Hey everybody, Chrissy Tobis here for Kindred Stamps, and today I'm going to show you how to make some clean and simple cards using the Space Explorers stamp set. So this is masking magic. These are basically sheets of paper that have repositionable sticky on the back. So when you place them down on something, they peel off without leaving any residue or ripping the paper. So I just die cut a circle on there, and now I'm using it to mask off the rest of my front card panel. So everything is covered except for that little circle section that I die cut. And now I'm just going to use some inks here. I'm going to layer them on top of each other to get kind of like an interesting background. So instead of using just one color, I'm mixing 3 colors on each one of the cards. On the one card I think I used 2 different colors, but a bunch of different colors just to give it some extra interest so it's not flat looking. You can use any type of inks. I'm using ones that react well with water. So once I had everything, the coloring the way I wanted it, I took another ink and I stamped it. This is the glass mat. So if you don't have one of these, you can use anything that is slick. And then I added some water. This is a water brush pen. And I flicked it on there like I'm using a paintbrush with water. And then I also came in and I used a little bit of sparkle marker as well. So I scribbled that down just like I did with the ink where I stamped it, and I picked that up with the water too. So you can see, you just gently peel it off. I was really gentle because I knew I was going to reuse this mask. So you can see what it looks like up there in the right corner, and now I am resticking the mask down onto another piece of cardstock because I decided since I had it cut I would make a couple cards. I ended up making 3. I show 2 partially on camera. The third one I did completely off camera. So I did the exact same thing again, but this time I used different colors. So this time I went darker. I used like a dark purple, a gray, and I actually even came in with some black. Now the one thing I will suggest when you're using black, when you're ink blending, come in very, very light-handed. So you can see on the upper right there, I have an extra piece of cardstock. So I kind of tap some of the excess ink off, just so I don't come in really heavy with a ton of ink, because you can always add more, but you can't take it away. So then once I had the coloring the way that I wanted it, I peeled that off. And like I said, I did do a third one off to the side. I'll show that at the end of the video. So now I decided I wanted to stamp my sentiments. And I love this one sentiment here. This is congratulations. But it was a little bit too long for the panel that I had cut. So I decided to kind of mask off part of that sentiment. So I just took a Post-it note and covered it up when I inked it. So then now this way I realigned it. Now you do not have to have a stamping tool. You can do the exact same thing with an acrylic block. I've done this for years, and I did it well before I had this stamping tool. This just makes it a little bit easier to see where you're stamping. And then you can see now it says con and then congratulations. So by using my Post-it note to kind of mask it off, that way I could adjust the sentiment without having to cut my stamp. I know a lot of people like to cut their stamps. I do when I have to, but I really prefer not to. So then I just decided to assemble this card. So I'm just using some foam tape on there. I wanted to give this just a little bit of height. So you can see I'm placing that onto a black card base. It's a standard 4 1/4 by 11, and it's scored at 8 1/2, so it's a top folding card. And then I did the same thing. I added some score tape to that little guy and stuck him on the front. And now we are going to work on card 2. So when I'm doing clean and simple stamping, lots of times I create a bunch of cards at once. It's just easier to me. They all kind of have a similar look, but they're all different. But I can use the same techniques, and I can get a bunch of them done at once. So I am just using some metallic colored pencils, and I'm blending it with some blending solution. And I'm using that's like a paper stub that's used for colored pencil blending. So I'm just adding and basically using silver and blue, and then I'll come in with a non-metallic and add some red touches over here to some of the little pieces of that ship. So I kept a lot of it white because I wanted to look like it was shiny. So that's why I used the silver metallic as opposed to the regular. Then I assembled everything. I put on the card with the score tape again, and then I put metallic the crystal clear, like I flicked on there before, that crystal clear sparkle marker. So these are the cards. I'll show you all 3. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and I hope you will create a ton of clean and simple cards. Have a great day.